Sometimes the greatest miracles come from the people we least expect. This is the story of Ricardo Wellington, a wealthy businessman, and Elena, the maid who carried a secret so powerful it would transform his son's life forever. Stay with me, because what Ricardo discovered one Tuesday afternoon would shake the very foundation of his family. And trust me, you won't believe what he caught her doing. Ricardo Wellington had everything money could buy: a sprawling mansion, a successful business empire, respect in high society. But behind closed doors, his heart was heavy. His only son, Daniel, just 5 years old, had been born with mild cerebral palsy. Walking, playing, even simple coordination, all were uphill battles. Instead of facing his pain, Ricardo buried himself in work, convincing himself that wealth could someday buy a cure. But money couldn't buy joy, and Daniel's laughter had disappeared months ago. One Tuesday afternoon, fate intervened. Ricardo came home 2 hours earlier than expected. As he passed down the long hallway, he froze. From Daniel's bedroom came a sound he hadn't heard in months: his son's laughter. Heart-pounding, he approached the half-open door and peeked inside. What he saw would stop him cold. There was Elena, the maid Ricardo had hired just 6 months earlier, kneeling on the carpet beside Daniel. But she wasn't cleaning or telling him a story. She was gently holding his little legs, guiding them through exercises. Stretching, bending, encouraging him. "Come on, little warrior," she whispered. "Lift your leg. You can do it." Daniel giggled, straining, and miraculously his leg lifted off the ground. Not much, just a few inches, but enough to make him beam with pride. Ricardo's chest tightened. In minutes, Elena had drawn out more progress from Daniel than months of expensive private therapists. But how? She was just a maid, wasn't she? The next day, Ricardo could no longer contain himself. He confronted her. His words were sharp. "What gives you the right to play doctor with my son? You're just a maid." Elena lowered her gaze, apologizing softly. But there was something in her eyes, a quiet strength, a secret waiting to be told. Finally, she confessed. Her younger brother had been born with similar struggles. For 12 years, Elena had cared for him. She had studied books, watched therapy sessions, even invented her own methods. And now, her brother Miguel was walking, running, even playing soccer. Ricardo was stunned. This woman, whom he had dismissed as uneducated, carried knowledge that rivaled trained professionals. But Ricardo still wasn't convinced. He began secretly observing her. He noticed she came an hour early every day, stayed late into the evenings, and recorded Daniel's progress in meticulous detail. Her notebook read like a professional's case study, more thorough than any medical report he had seen. On weekends, when she should have rested, she still came to help Daniel. Ricardo's pride wrestled with undeniable proof. His son was improving. But the mystery deepened. Some nights, Elena left the mansion carrying a bag. Curious, Ricardo followed her. She traveled across the city to a rundown community center. Inside, what Ricardo witnessed would change him forever. Elena wasn't just helping Daniel. She was volunteering at night, guiding dozens of children, poor, disabled, forgotten. Using bottles of sand as weights, pillows as balance tools, and her unshakable belief in them as medicine. To those kids, she wasn't a maid. She was teacher Elena. The next morning, Ricardo asked her directly, "Why didn't you tell me about this? Are you even qualified?" Elena hesitated, then revealed the truth. She had a degree in physical therapy. She had graduated on scholarship but could never find work in fancy clinics because of where she came from, because of her skin, because she didn't fit the profile. So she accepted work as a maid, until Daniel gave her a reason to practice her calling again. Ricardo was speechless. This woman he had dismissed had more knowledge, more passion, and more heart than anyone he had ever hired. And then, just as Ricardo struggled to find words, Daniel appeared. No crutches. Step by step, carefully but proudly, he walked into the room and straight into Elena's arms. "Daddy, did you see?" "I walked all by myself." Aunt Elena said I could do it, and she was right. Tears filled Ricardo's eyes. For the first time in years, he knelt, hugging his son tightly. In that moment, the cold businessman was gone. A father had been reborn. From that day on, everything changed. Ricardo promoted Elena, not as a maid, but as Daniel's personal therapist. He invested in the community center, transforming it into a modern clinic. Elena's dream came true, free therapy for every child in need. Months later, Daniel ran across the school stage, telling his classmates how he had learned that limitations only exist in the mind. The audience erupted in applause, and in that crowd, Elena wept with pride. 2 years later, the Elena and Miguel Institute had become a national model of hope. Children from across the country came for treatment. Elena, once dismissed as a maid, was now celebrated as a pioneer of child rehabilitation. And Daniel? He walked, ran, played soccer, and carried in his heart the lesson Elena had given him. Believe in yourself, and nothing is impossible. Elena had entered the Wellington mansion as a maid, but revealed herself as a miracle worker. Proof that sometimes angels come to us disguised in the humblest of uniforms.